Hello, this is Mark here again to give you a short tutorial on how to create the barrel of a cannon. I'll only stick with the cannon, but I just want to show you how quickly you can create this, and one of the better ways of doing it without getting too bogged down. You can see there's different styles here. I'm going to show you the basic style. Now what I'm going to do, delete those, and we're going to start from the beginning, which is normal Control Shift K. It's already on the pipe. I've made it 8 meters long, which is only obviously for tutorial purposes, and 0.1 thickness and 18 sides. Hold the Shift key down and left click the mouse button. Control Shift K. Then we have the basic barrel. Now at the moment we've got a problem because the barrel needs to be smaller at one end. So the best way to do that, highlight one of the faces on here like so, and then click on select face ring like so. And what you can do, you can keep the control key down, beg your pardon, and 1, 2, 3. What I've done there, you can see the scale on the snapping is on 0.1. So if I'd have done that with say 0.5 or even 0.2, you can see holding the control key down would have brought it down even quicker. So just to get an idea of how to rescale things as best you want. Now the next thing I want to do is to extrude the end of this to begin the end of the barrel, to finish it off nicely. So you've got the extrude faces. I've got it on 0.1 here, and it's important to make sure it's face normal because you can get unusual results and different results when you're trying to smooth it. It starts to get a sort of ripple effect when you're trying to smooth the barrel later on. So you must make sure it's face normal, and then in this particular case 0.1. So Control and E, which is a shortcut for that, and you've now got that. So I'm going to go back to here and 0.1 like so. The control key down again. You can see you can change it one section at a time. So we'll do that. We'll extrude it again, and then we'll extrude it one more time, and bang. Now, just for example here, if we want to smooth it off, because at the moment, if you look at that and you put a colour onto it, so let's go to the colours, and I said, right, okay, look at that, you can see there's lots of square spaces, almost sort of pixelated as it were. So what we do, we go to the smoothing, and we'll just pick the first smoothing, which is, as you can see, these are the basic settings. There's nothing to be done there except click on one, and that should smooth it. And as you can see, that smooths it off quite nicely. Now there's different ways of doing this, so you can play around with this, but that keeps it fairly simple. So if I went to one of the faces here, select ring, I could then carry on doing the extruding. So again 0.1, which is equivalent of 10 centimeters. Control key down, left mouse button, and go down 1. Extrude again, down 1. Extrude again, down 1. Extrude again, down 1. Possibly 2. Extrude again, down 2. Maybe 3. Extrude, and then we'll extrude actually. Remember, if ever you go too far, you can always press Ctrl Z and go back one. So if I wanted to go back again we go. So Ctrl E to extrude, come out, and then possibly Ctrl left mouse button, like so. Again, all squared, so we want to try and smooth that off. Now I've gone too far there, so we'll just make sure it's not overlapping, and it is at the moment, so that's not going to be much good. So we'll go to there, and you can see it's all just the end there. We'll go back to smoothing, click on smooth like so, and you can see that smoothed off as well. There's nothing wrong with that cannon, except you can also add an extra element, which is the reinforcing pieces. There's various different designs for this, but say for instance we wanted to put 3 reinforcing pieces in. How do we do it? Well, you can extrude and put in little sections, but then it gets very complicated when trying to reduce it from the size here, the radius, gradually down to here. So there's a better way. So if you go back to here and choose the object selection, and you can see the position here is a little bit out of sync. So go to reset property. Now it's disappeared. You left click on the pipe and you're back. It's on nice and it's on 0, so that's nice and central. So if we then go to Control, Shift and K again, we can go down to torus. Now what torus is, you can see there's different sort of circular positions you can do for that. If you did 111, you can see the size. So you can see that if I try and reduce this, say to 0.1, I've got a nice, what could be argued as a ring donut. Now, if I go to that and reset that as well, oh, hey presto, it's gone into the middle there. That's how you get things centralized. This can be applied to many things when you're creating models, and this is one example of it. So, what we want, it's a bit too thick there. So what we want to do, we want to bring that back down a bit. So we're on 0.1 there, so let's see if that's good enough. So Shift key, gradually bring it down and see whether that's enough. That's too much, so we'll bring it down 1, and it still seems to be a bit too thick. So we'll go back, and we'll say let's halve that, so it's 0.05. So that way we can go down 2, and I think we probably can afford to go down just 1 more. Again, you could start moving this down to 0.01 if you want to really make it a very thin, very slight position, like so. What we can do now is we can Control D. We've now created a duplicate. Go back to the Move tool. Now again, I've got a movement here. Let's take it to 1. And that means if I keep the Shift key down and left click on the arrow like so, it's going to come along to a certain position like so. What I want to do is bring that down to size. Again, Control key down, and that looks a little bit out of sync, so that's probably could do with just coming up a bit. I think that's about right. So what we'll do now is do the last one, which is Control D again. We've got the 3rd torus, and this time we'll bring it back here. As you can see, it's gone, well, for a start, it's gone too far, so we want to put it there. So let's go back to the shaping. Let's bring this back up. So again, it was Control and keep the Shift key down on the middle of the scale tool gizmo, and that looks quite good. So last but not least, just if we're going to make it bronze, put this on like so, and you can see you can always bring them over to here and change them there as well if you want, because that was a little bit fiddly trying to get to there. I've had a bit of practice at this, but you can see that looks quite a nice cannon. So that's quite quick to produce and doesn't look too bad. A lot of tweaking, a lot of things can change, textures and so on and so forth. You've got basic element with which to play around with. Probably the best thing to do is to go to the tools and pull it as children of the main pipe, so they all keep together as one object effectively, and then you can progress from there and add bits to it and see if you can start putting a gun carriage with it. Okay, hopefully that will be of some use to people. I can emphasise, I should say, that I do need to have some people to subscribe to my channel if you're willing to. Obviously, I'm not forcing you, but I would be very much appreciate you subscribing if you can. But obviously, this is just trying to help everyone as much the best I can. But I wanted to try and make it so that possibly it can encourage me to make more of these tutorials and help more people as we go along as well. And subscribing would certainly go a long way towards that. Thanks a lot. Bye.